Memory transcription subject: Governor Tava of the Venlo Republic. Date: Standardized Human Time, October 9th, 2136.
This should have been a jubilant moment. The UN Liberation Fleet established contact with the Venlo military and requested permission to dock on our homeworld. A victory against the arxur was something I never fathomed. The humans had accomplished the impossible. But I didn't understand why the Secretary-General had travelled all the way from Earth to meet with me. His stated purpose was to discuss something urgent with me before those ships landed. The way the human diplomats were tight-lipped and implored me to remain calm instilled some apprehension. My advisors were aware of the crocodile invasion. We offered to take in as many Terran refugees as needed. About 50,000 predators had arrived on the first flights and were settled into temporary housing. We didn't have the resources to take care of them long term, or to satisfy their dietary preferences. But leaving our friends to die wasn't an option, so we'd figure it out together. There was no need to persuade us to help, and the minutiae could be handled by stand-ins. As for the diplomatic fiasco, the humans sent representatives to every allied species yesterday. They will point the finger at the Kolshian Commonwealth and pray their innocence was believed. With such immediate casualties, all bets were off. I'd expect the Thafki to be most suspect of predators, given that they're almost extinct. The Physons, with their expansive resources, are the ones we truly must convince at all costs. There wasn't much to do besides await each race's reaction. I told the humans in no uncertain terms that I wouldn't expect any government's assistance. What else could the UN figurehead wish to discuss in person at such a crucial time in his planet's survival? If Maya was leaving Earth, shouldn't his priority be appealing to Chorson or Tossa for aid?
Noah, do you know what this is about? I asked.
The Terran ambassador frowned. I think it's better to wait for Maya, Tava. I don't imagine you're going to like this. Please, just promise you'll try to understand. For me. The ominous reply didn't provide any reassurance. That was how humans spoke when they were worried something predatory would frighten us or shake our trust. I didn't like seeing my beloved friend pleading with me, like I was bound to turn against him.
Don't be like that,
I grumbled.
What? Are you finally going to tell me you hunt for your endurance?
Noah gaped at me, eyes bulging. Who told you?
I figured it out, watching you exercise back in Arthur. It occurred to me how that tirelessness might help chase down prey. You don't have much else going for you.
Gee, thanks. You don't seem very concerned, though.
Why should I be? Your people would never hunt mine either way. I'm humanity's friend, and I'm not here to judge your ancestors.
The ambassador patted my shoulder with affection. I didn't appreciate that there was still secrecy around their hunting methods, but trust was a slow process. Fortunately, my deduction skills were sufficient. You are the only real friend we've had out here. Thank you, Noah whispered. I flicked my ears in acknowledgement.
Not to inflate my own ego, but I'm pretty alright. So, see, Secretary-General Maya doesn't need to waste time talking me off the ledge.
That's not what I'm talking you down about,
a gravelly voice interrupted. Noah and I both startled. Neither of us noticed the Secretary-General enter the cavernous reception hall. I had no idea how long Maya had been eavesdropping, but it was enough to catch the subject matter. I was glad I didn't make any suggestive quips about their endurance. The UN leader looked like he hadn't slept in days, as he tossed a hard-copy photograph on my desk. The poor guy collapsed into the nearest chair and pawed at his bleary eyes. I wanted to order him to get some rest, but with Earth in danger, I doubted he would comply. My gaze landed on the image, which showed a uniformed human sitting across from an arxur. Was this taken from one of their ships? The grey had a shackle around its leg, so at least it was restrained from rampaging through the crew quarters. How the Terrans got it there in one piece was another question.
We captured several arxur from a cattle ship.
Secretary-General Maya stifled a yawn and blinked in quick succession.
Quite a few of our major players had, well, concerns about sharing the next part with you. Given that you're the only reason humanity is still alive, I felt you had the right to know.
To know what? I asked hesitantly.
Maya raised his hands in a placating gesture.
Please don't take offense. I'm just repeating the story multiple Greys told us. They claimed the Federation infected thousands with a microbe that made them allergic to meat, then killed their livestock to force them to herbivory.
I narrowed my eyes, processing what the human relayed. Our Terran friends proved that being a predator alone didn't explain the arxur's cruelty. Either sadism was a trait unique to their species, or a reaction to a particular event. On that note, the Federation had no issue sacrificing lives or bending morals in the short time I knew the primates. I've watched them beat and starve a human, blow up spaceships to eliminate any offer of friendship, plan multiple raids to wipe out all life on Earth. Honestly, I wouldn't put that antagonism past the Federation, but if it's true I know nothing about it, I replied. Regardless, why would the arxur choose to farm sapient beings rather than eat plants? Noah pursed his lips, suppressing a sigh. They're obligate carnivores, Tava. They cannot survive without meat. I tilted my head in confusion. I'm sorry. I don't understand. Why not? Obligate carnivores can't digest plants like you or me. They don't have the right gut bacteria, and they can't synthesize vitamins from plant forms.
There are certain nutrients, like taurine, that exist almost exclusively in meat.
Maya chimed in.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Noah, but I think such carnivores have high protein requirements as well.
The astronaut nodded. Exactly. The glucose in their blood, energy, comes from proteins rather than carbohydrates. In the absence of protein, their bodies start eating their own muscle and organs. I shuddered at the motion. Having your innards digested by your own cells was the literal definition of starvation. Human scientists needed to spread these facts around. It would make predation more sympathetic. Flesh eating made sense if biology left no alternative. Noah couldn't eat any meat while he was at the Federation summit. No wonder he was irritable. I had no idea he was in such agony. Burgeoning concerns flooded my mind, and I stared at the ambassador in horror. We were informed from the onset that humans had higher protein requirements. Had the vegetarian visitors been suffering or starving to pacify us? I hoped none of them would have long-term repercussions. That was never my intention. Noah's brown eyes softened. What's wrong, Governor? Was that too graphic? You have been starving from eating plants, I squeaked. Maya breathed a frustrated sigh.
Humans are omnivores, Tava, as we have told you many times. The nutrients in vegetables are quite accessible to us.
That said, without animal products, we usually develop serious mineral deficiencies, Noah interjected, sensing my next question. Vegetarians need supplements or fortified foods, B12, iron, protein, and so on. This has been explained to your medical community. Undoubtedly, it was easier to absorb those nutrients through dietary means. At least the Terrans could survive on vegetation, with a little help. The arxur couldn't derive any nutritional value from plants, even if they wanted to. I didn't know why zero scientists, here or in the Foundation, had figured that out. So it's not about bloodlust at all. I get the point, I think, I sighed. What do you want to do about the Grey story? Maya grimaced.
Governor, I'll give it to you straight. The arxur offered us an alliance, and the Federation has forced us to hear them out. We need all the help we can get, especially from such a powerful player.
I stared at the floor and avoided Ambassador Noah's pitying gaze. This was a scenario every Venlil dreaded, from the moment humans declared their peaceful intent. Everyone feared they would buddy with the arxur at the first opportunity. We hoped that these predators wouldn't be like the ones who saw us as tasty playthings. But the truth was, Terrans were nothing like the monsters we imagined. They sided with the Federation and mustered a genuine attempt at peace. General Jones told me a long time ago that humanity would do anything to protect Earth. I couldn't blame them for making that decision, forsaking our predicament for theirs. I blinked away tears. Do what you have to.
I understand why you're leaving us. Their friendship is more impactful.
Leaving?
Maya echoed. Wait, do you think we're just going to let them eat you? Noah stepped toward me, shaking his head for emphasis. We'd never abandon you. Never. Understand? The Terran ambassador enveloped me in a warm hug, without waiting for a response. I sank into his suffocating grasp. Losing the humans would be a devastating emotional blow, especially this particular human. I didn't think I could bear it. The selfish part of me wanted them to stand against the arxur, whatever the cost. The Secretary General cleared his throat pointedly.
We consider you the same as our own people. Any deal with us mandates the release of all captive Venlo and an armistice between your governments. That is non-negotiable.
What? You want us to ally with, or bargain with the Greys? I hissed.
Something like that.
Elias, I killed my only child because of their bombing excursions. I remember how it felt to hold her in my arms as I told the doctors to disconnect life support. Forgive me if I'm not thrilled about the idea. The humans were considering a deal out of necessity, but the circumstances were different for our predator friends. Terrans hadn't been slaughtered en masse for centuries. This wasn't something you just forgot. Whatever the Federation had done, it didn't change the unspeakable atrocities committed against Venlo kind. You can't reason with creatures who bomb schools and laugh at brutalized pups. I don't want to talk to the Greys. I recognized that personal experience was clouding my judgment, but I didn't want to brush it aside. The arxur ripped apart my life. Even my mate and I separated because he reminded me too much of our daughter. The pain was to a constant ache in my heart. Suffice to say, I despised the arxur with the utmost venom.
I am sorry for your loss, Tarva. I know how hollow those words must sound.
The wrinkles in Maya's face were taut with sympathy.
But please let me correct that statement. You did not kill her. You chose not to prolong her suffering because you're a selfless, kind person.
My tail drooped with grief. Thank you. Is that what you really think?
I do. That's why I think you'll help us broker this deal. So nobody else in your world will have to endure that feeling ever again. And so that we might not have to bury our loved ones 7 days from now.
The UN leader was a gifted speaker, I give him that. Was any price too high to bring peace to my planet? Even a brief reprieve would be merciful, if it halted the torment of millions. All the Venel really wanted was for this senseless war to stop. Noah, how can we... No. How can you trust them? I asked after a long silence. I don't, but there's no good alternatives. The ambassador crossed his sinewy arms. I'm disgusted by those fascist child-eaters, but the Federation is the immediate threat to Earth. Maya frowned.
We're ideologically incompatible with the arxur long term. An alliance would be temporary to buy time. Perhaps we can steer them down less reprehensible paths.
I suppose the reptilians would be less of a menace under Terran control, pointed at our enemies. Still, how can we justify this to the non-hostile Federation majority? The largest voting bloc were the 107 that sought an anti-arxur alliance with humanity. Those species would see a predatory partnership as violating the crux of their position. Are you guys trying to ensure I lose next year's election? I grumbled. I'll stand with you, but this won't look good. You might as well go on galactic television and pledge to eat a Cerulean infant a day. Noah flashed his teeth. Well, the birds already think that's our morning breakfast. We're past worrying about appearances. Very well, though I hope you have a better plan than flying to a cattle world and offering me as a sacrifice. Maya smirked.
Actually, an arxur captain gave us the location of one of their spy outposts. I'm going to fly within comms range and strike up a nice conversation. Care to join me, Tarva?
The thought of seeking a carnivore's safe haven made my heart stop in my chest. There was nothing I would care for less than to be surrounded by abominations. The mental image of hungry eyes darting over my vital areas made me want to curl into a ball.
What Venner would ever want to talk to those foul beasts? A low whine rattled off my vocal cords. I can't think of a worse idea, but I'm right behind you. Let's get going.